Look at that. We got data bits. They're coming out in all the places. It's terrifying, isn't it? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I gotta track down a little issue. Give me 1 second here. You know, that's like right when you go live, then the thing goes blarp. Why am I not getting return on me all of a sudden? That's a weird one. That is a weird one.
So then on my end, the music is really, really loud. It's drowning out your voice.
Yeah, something has went haywire.
Oh, okay.
Hang on one moment, everybody. All right. There we go. Maybe that's working now. There we go. We just had a couple of noodles that were out of whack.
Yeah. After all the experimentation.
There we go. Nice and loud. Nice and chalky. I just got to get all the bits set. Thank you for the resub dubs. All right. So we got the data bits going out. That's doing good. We sent notification out. Why do I have 4 Twitter notifications? What are people trying to communicate with me? Error. Let me have a look here.
Probably a follower or someone who liked the LGC tweet. Possibly.
Let me see. New followers. I don't know. If you haven't discovered over the years that getting in touch with me through social media notifications, not a smart. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying can be up to a 1 week delay before I go through and sort my notifications. Like I try to check them in the morning, I get a bunch, and like if I see anything big, but if it's like super important, I assume you're just going to like shoot me an email or something like that. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Getting ready for Weekly Daily Wednesdays. I'm playing around with a couple things in the studio, but for you this afternoon, we got a new roadmap for Firefox, which is kind of dope, and open source keyboard. I'm going to tell you all about the one I'm using. I've been using it for about a week now. Real happy. It has the thing I've been looking for. And of course, we're going to mention the Microsoft AI stealing all your data bits. You know, it's going to be in your AI, stealing all your screenshots. Yeah. And Canonical study good with a milky Ubuntu type thing. So I think that will be interesting. All right. There we go. That is together. And let's see. We will rock and roll with this in a reasonable amount of time. Let me check that. Yeah, I hadn't even had a chance to see what's going on in the world of things that are going on. You missed the VP9?
Yeah, Steve has one, yeah. We were testing a new link, but Ven will get it fixed.
I just got to track it down. It's probably about 13 things I can think of off the top of my head. It's just a bunch of tuning. We'll do, we've generated logs. So now tune into the pre-super shows and on Saturday when I have my crack team of troubleshooter when we assemble. And we'll get everything hammered out between the three of us. It will be a thing. Yeah, only 13. It's just a Jitsi server. I know way too much about Jitsi servers at this point. It's frightening. Like if somebody's like, I need you to deploy this organization. I'd be like, I got you, fam. I've dug way too much. I have my own, like with anything, it reminds me of like working with Sun Hardware or like Cisco equipment. Like you got to have like your own crib sheet of docs that you just develop over the years over like common stuff that's not documented like properly, correctly, or it's like in one thing, it's like in an MD file that's just not indexed. All right. Now we've got about 7 minutes before go time. We're going to hop into it today. Did anything happen in the world? I have not even peeked into the internet so far. this morning. Is there new and exciting things for people to be angry about? I didn't get a chance to check.
No. Not that I'm aware of. I didn't watch too much news this morning. I try and watch happy stuff in the morning.
I was about to say, I mean, if we need a recap from Disney's news feed.
Yeah. Oh, there's lots of Fantasmic is back here at Disneyland. That's a big deal because the dragon had got caught on fire last year and got burnt down, so they had to stop the show. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but the show is back. But the dragon is still being worked on, so it's not in the show yet. They have a kind of a what do you call it? A holographic replacement of the dragon, a projection map of the dragon. But it will be returning soon. Yeah, I like Happy Tree Friends. That's great, Strider. I have done that before in the mornings. Oh, and hello to my Steve husband. He's in the house. And Dubsig.
If Steve's in the house, where are you talking to him on chat? Just go walk out there and say hi to him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's at his workhouse. He lives there more than he does here.
Oh man, rumors about The
big
Rock
house.
being cast in an X-Men movie. Well, who would Rock play as an X-Men? Huh. Who would I want to see Rock play as an X-Men? Not the obvious one. You can't say Juggernaut. That's too easy.
Yeah, freeway between rooms, the 405.
Let me see. I don't know. What's his name? From the X-Men, the guy with the hoses on his back, from that failed movie, right? Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
That's not inspired casting, Hollywood. I'm scared to see what an X-Men movie is going to look like. What do we want now? We don't want movies anymore. We want series. Give me a TV series. Give me like 5 episodes. Or something. I don't have time to sit down and watch one of your boring movies. I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to actually watch the new Witcher.
Oh, yeah.
With the recasting with Baby Hemsworth in it. I've seen some screenshots of that. That very much looks like we have him, Henry Cavill from Wish. Oh, it's going to be the last one. Might have to tune into it, see what they do with the story. All right, we should be about ready to go. We've got 4 minutes.
Okay. Let me go take a quick break, and I will be ready too. Yay.
Yeah, my drinks. Oh. Like, I tapped out after Witcher Series 2. I watched the first one. I watched the second series of The Witcher. I didn't dislike it. The first one was just discombobulated. Like, whatever art piece film they were trying to do with the episode order and, like, the Memento, like, time shift stuff. Like, I even went back and rewatched it, like, after I'd read all the books. And I'm like, yeah, you tried to be a little too artsy for TV on that one. But Series 2 was interesting. It had like 2 things that really irritated me, but like, fan rage. But like, they changed like motivations for like key characters. Like, they would have never done that. But it did open, like, Jordan and I talked about that first episode of Series 2 of The Witcher, how it opened. And Jordan had not read the books. And I'd recently, like very, very recently read the books. And I'm like, I get what they're doing. They're saying, we're going to kind of stick to this. It's not going to happen the way it happened in the book, but it's going to be in the same theme. I like how it opened like that because it kind of set the pace for the rest of the episodes. But I don't know. We're going to get Henry Cavill's going to be doing Warhammer, which I'm not into, but it seems like he's really into it, so it might be really good. Who knows? Sometimes being old, you don't want to. No, being intentionally old is sad. That's not nice. Like going out of your way to be old, hand waving stuff off because I'm old. I don't have to keep up with it. That path does not lead to a happy old age at all. Not even a little bit. That's a dangerous mindset. I dealt with that for the last 20 years. It's like, I don't need to understand computers. I'm old. Yeah, you see, the correct way to phrase that is, I don't keep up with stuff I'm not interested in. I don't think it's correct to conflate your age with your interests. You know, there's somebody right now that could school me in like Witcher lore who's 80 years old. We still get the occasional good movie. We do. And sometimes I just want a popcorn movie too. I don't want, I don't need an art piece for every film. I don't need cinema. Like, give me a good story. Make it good. Make it compelling. Make it fun. And I'll watch it. You know, those have kind of been few and far between. I can't think of, you know, once you pull off nostalgia vision, you go back and like, it's kind of how movies always are. You might get maybe one, maybe two a year, or maybe one every couple of years. You know, it's hard for me to think back of like, you know, when I think about like movies when I get done watching, I'm like, wow. Same thing with video games. Because, you know, video games have effectively turned into interactive cinema at this point. You know, and I think a lot of the creative writing that would have traditionally moved into like, you know, TV shows and stuff, they end up in the game industry. Why? They pay more. You know, they can hire the best of the best. Yeah, it's wild, but everybody's got like their own thing, man. This is like the danger of like saying there's no good movies anymore. It's like, no, what you mean to say is there's not movies I like anymore. I don't even know what Mars Express is, but I'm glad you enjoyed it, Strider. Because that's like the important thing. You're like, I liked it. And I'm like, cool, man. I know that's a very edgy thing to say in 2024, isn't like somebody likes something that you don't know about, or you're like, no, the safe bet's to be like, what? That sucks. Brr. Hang on. No, first you go to the internet, Google it, and find like, oh yeah, see, this is why it sucks. Even though I've never seen it. That's how we do things in 2024. Thank you, Other Steve. Topiary? All right. You know, and it doesn't have to be a Hollywood production to be a good movie either. Hi, welcome to MovieCast. Jordan and I have definitely talked, you know, a movie I recommended to Jordan years and years ago, called Man from Earth, which is effectively a single shot, one camera movie with like 6 actors in it. Brilliant. Don't watch the sequel. Please do not watch the sequel. Man for Earth is like, shows what you can do with like a you know, a good camcorder, a single camera, a good script with some good actors. You know, there's no A-list actors in there, but they're all good, competent actors, and it puts a story together. It's compelling. You can sit and watch it for an hour and a half, whatever the runtime is, and be like, that was well done. Then completely forget about it for half a decade and like, wait, they made a sequel? Then you watch the trailer for that and you go like, no, they didn't make a sequel. Let's just pretend that doesn't exist. Yeah, it's not great. You can never do that lightning twice, right? You know, we learned that with so many films, even though arguably like the second Highlander, I was going to bring Highlander up as an example, right? And I'm like, how do you follow over time, over like the 20 or 30 years it's been since Highlander 2 is just such a fever dream of a film.
Yes, it is.
That is just takes place in a different universe. And then they try to go back to the original formula. That was good, but it's hard to even consider Highlander 2 like a real sequel. It was like, that's like the alternate timeline. That's Kelvin Star Trek, that timeline, right?
Yeah. Oh, hello, Steve's very own.
Hot Wheels, and one of us, what's that movie called? Cars, right?
Well, referring to my father-in-law, Bruce Reinecker, who was one of the Hot Wheels designers.
They made a movie about him?
Yeah, he's been in a couple documentaries.
Documentaries.
Yeah. but
H2 was not bad, Steve. It shows just like a Maximum Overdrive. When you have the acceptable amount of cocaine on set, you can accomplish magical things. It's a testament to that. Things we'll never be able to recapture. Highlander 3 wasn't. None of the Highlanders were great. I even tried to watch the Highlander where Adrian Paul came in, right? Where they tried to do the swap over between him and Chris. No. It's all right. We'll get a reboot. All right, let me get something to drink and we'll get underway.
Okay. H2OMG. Yeah, I didn't see it. Yeah. Do. Yeah, I was looking for when it came out and I have forgotten. Oh, it's so funny. So when I was duck-going it, Halloween 2, the 2009 film, came up for H2. That's pretty funny. H2, the Occupation Lab. Ooh, that one came out in 2022. I like this happy Mario 8-bit music, 16-bit music. Aw. Awesome, Steve. Tell your son hello from me and Steve, and have fun at the gym. He's probably doing his ninja moves, huh? Or maybe he's up to something else. H2, the Occupation. Rob Zombie's H2 is better than Halloween. Yeah. It's interesting when you do a search for H2 movie, what comes up. Oh yeah, Ven and I did quite a bit of testing before the show started.
What?
But so we just went back to our old Jitsi Earl.
What are we talking about?
Oh, I was just going to tell them about what we did before the show started.
Yeah. Clicked on a hyperlink, put it in the browser. It didn't work.
Pretty much.
Now I'm going to go back over all the logs and sort out, see what the handshake issue was. It's probably co-turn server.
Yeah, because I usually, it would let me in there for a couple minutes and then it would disconnect me.
That was bouncing when somebody also tried to join in. So that's, it's either co-turn or Prodsy. One of those two. I just got to go digging through the logs and figure out, and that might be an issue with the handshake. If it's trying to do a P2P connection. Got to go over the logs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's it. You just got to read the tea leaves and, like, that's not right. Look for, like, thing broke. Continuing. Something caused it to bounce. It'll be fun to sort out. All right.
Yeah.
And by fun, I mean it'll be really short and sweet, hopefully. That's always the kind of fun. There's different types of fun, though, when you think about it. There's the an enjoyable, like, sometimes you pop something open, you look at it, and you're like, boom, there's the problem. That was great. I don't know if you really count that as fun. Sometimes, like 2 days later, and you finally get it working, you're like, yes. That's a different type of fun. Both equally.
I think that's fun. I enjoy the troubleshooting process.
All right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let me check shots real quick. All right. Browser. All right, we're good to go.
That's funny. Pre-Cosmo. Cosmos. Pre-Cosmos. That's a great name. Wait till Fedora Recall becomes a thing.
What's Fedora Recall, Jill?
It doesn't exist yet. Unless you consider, I can unless you do
Google it.
rsync with and make a backup. I guess that could be considered a recall.
Went to Fedora after hearing about Recall. Oh. All right. Good to go. Good to go. Locked in. Let's kill the background noise and...
Yeah. And welcome, Pre-Cosmos. I've not seen your name in before, so cool. Thank you for joining us.
What is that, Strider? Pearl.
Yay.
All right. Let's press that big red button, everybody.
Okay.
Big red button has been pressed. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we sit back, relax, take that mid-week break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux and open source. I'm Old Man Vin, joined every week by Joe Bryant. We're just talking in the pre-show about pressing big red buttons, total recalls, and most importantly, Highlander movies. You go back and listen to the live and uncut. If you get a chance, I'll put that in podcast format for our beautiful party patrons. What is going on with you, Joe Bryant? We got a lot to talk about this week, but anything fun going on, interesting?
Aww. Well, we had fun again on our Trackmania stream yesterday. We got to navigate our cars on some quirky and fun new maps. So that was cool. I'm looking forward to doing some practice runs with a few of them, especially, I think there was one I didn't make it through, but I will get through it.
Yeah, we had the Halloween map.
Yeah, that was it.
which was kind of entertaining. Go back and check that out. If you want to participate in that, you can. We got I guess it's like a private Trackmania server where basically it's open to anybody. If you're a Twitch sub or patron, like hop in our Discord, get the launch codes. And we do 10 to 14 new tracks each week, and we do it on Tuesday. We test out the tracks, maybe swap a couple out. And on Friday, we come back and try to do a little rounds of points match. It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time. Old game. Runs on anything. And that's that, man. I've been, I was trying to be adult-ish yesterday, doing a little of that. I occasionally have periods where I go through attempting to like set things up. I've been meaning to recap the power supply in one of my audio interfaces, one of my fancier ones, an 828 MK3. Been meaning to do it, and it's just a thing that happens to this particular audio interface. I'm like, all right, fine. I just put it in the rack, and like, this is 7 months ago. I'll get around to it. Finally got around to it like last week. I tracked down, I was like, what are the values to all the caps? Somebody did the work for me. I just had to go over the DigiKey and like punch everything in, get all the thing.
Oh,
Got
nice.
the order, and I'm like, oh, everything's going to arrive today. You know what? Let me go get the interface, take it apart, and like be ready so I can just pop out the PSU, desolder and resolder. All right. And to do it, pull it apart, pop off the lid. And there's this cheater cap between the power supply and the motherboard on the interface where somebody's like, oopsie. And they did basically a bodge wire but with a capacitor. And it's the puffy cap. None of the capacitors in the power supply are, no, admittedly, capacitors can go bad without being puffy, but this one was obviously, and I'm like, 100% chance that's the only problem with this. 100% chance this is going to be like boop, boop, boop. 100% chance I do not have this capacitor because it's not one that I ordered. And that's a dangerous time for anything in my house that I'm not using that has capacitors in it. I'm like, what can I go digging around now? I went into the parts room and I'm like, looking at stuff that's kind of open, and I'm like, do I want to share that? I couldn't find one. So I've had to order that particular. That's how things work out in my life. But
Yeah.
now I have this decision. So when that one thing comes in, because I'm not going to recap the entire thing if I don't have to. I'm not. Why? Because I'm lazy. I'm waiting for that one cap, and I'm going to swap it out, but I'll have that as a backup. That's what I get for trying to be proactive, but at least it gets fixed. It'll be back in service. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and jump into this. We've been talking about Mozilla, especially Mozilla doing stuff last week that nobody was happy with.
Yeah.
It was kind of surprising that I didn't even see. I was expecting at least one person to go, hey, man, it's not that bad. But nobody did that. They're like, no, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. So, 2 weeks ago, we actually talked about Firefox doing search data collection that me and Ven were not fans of. But now we have a Mozilla Firefox focusing on what they do best, on the web browser experience and using the web browser. Woohoo! That's the best thing possible, Mozilla. So Mozilla released their future roadmap for the coming year of our favorite open source web browser, Firefox. And my favorite line that John, the community manager, wrote in the Mozilla roadmap blog says, continuous work on speed, performance, and compatibility. And John also says, more streamlined menus that reduce visual clutter and prioritize top user actions so you can get to the important things quicker. That's awesome. That's absolutely what we want. We want that focus on the web browser experience. And there actually will be a lot of new features. This is interesting, like tab grouping and vertical tabs for greater productivity. And one of my favorites, a sidebar for organizing tabs. That's actually really cool. I think something I will find very useful. And also a new profile management system for keeping things organized. New tab wallpapers. So when you create a new tab, there'll be a new wallpaper, and privacy settings made easier to use. And with a little bit of futzing around with the menu and making things just more visible and easier to find. And some of these features you will be able to test in the current Firefox nightlies, or can be turned on in the About configs. So good on you, Firefox. I was really happy by this roadmap. You had a really, really good one about 6 months ago, too. So this continues that focus on the web browser.
It's definitely something they can pop up with. You need a little bit of a win after you tell everybody, like, hey, man, we're going to be collecting all your data bits.
I know.
And by the way, it is going to be opt out. We're going to go ahead and opt you into it. Yeah, and nobody's a big fan of that. But they do definitely, most certainly, talk about intuitive privacy settings. And I'm like, yeah, you know what would be really handy, Mozilla? Because, they're talking about world-class anti-tracking technologies in a simplified, how about you do one for the browser? That'd be really slick. And just make it an off button. Just one button that just says off. Quit tracking anything from me. Mozilla, you. I'll worry about everybody else too, but from you in the browser. I don't need to go to About config to change anything. I don't need to go into privacy settings and multiple ticks, just an off button. Do that, and I'll be very, very pleased. Now, that said, more of this. Stick to this. This is your core component, despite what everybody wants to believe. Let's pretend the last 10 years has been a fever dream. And you want to focus on the Mozilla browser. Why? Because that's the most important thing Mozilla has right now. And they need to regain browser market share. It's pathetic. It's small. It's insignificant. People are more and more and more as days go by going, why even bother with Mozilla? Like, you're up against things like Edge. And, I think Edge is way above Mozilla, but like Brave and Vivaldi, like these spin-off Chromium things. And we don't want Firefox to go away. So more of this, and credit where credit's due. More of these development blogs, less about, hey, we're putting AI in the browser. Like, stop.
Yeah, using open source to its best form.
Just make a good browser.
Yeah.
That's all I want. Do it. I dare you. Keep up the good work. Speaking of open source, some of you might have Android devices. I seriously doubt, I'm going to get blowback and like, no, 90% of our audience, we're on iDevices. Probably not. There's going to be at least one, possibly two people who are like, Sailfish OS, that's how I rock and roll. And you know what? That's cool. That exists. That's a curiosity. Definitely got that email a couple of years ago from somebody who says the podcatcher in Sailfish, or whatever application they were using, couldn't pick up Linux Gamecast weekly. Turns out it wasn't, had a blank query string. So we got that figured out. Open source Android keyboards. When Gboard first, what was the first keyboard you started out with, Joe? Like the first one?
I've been using, honestly, Gboard ever since it came out. just the default mode. Sometimes I would, download mods and everything, but I always went back to Gboard because it was less bloated and
Gboard's a relatively new keyboard.
Yeah, I guess it is. It seems old now, but
yeah, and like I remember when Gboard first came out, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. Way back in the day, one of the first innovations, and it first showed up on iDevices, and I'm like, this is brilliant. Was Glide typing?
Oh yeah.
No,
yeah.
the first time I've ever saw that in public was a keyboard called Swipe. I'm like, ooh, I was so happy. I was waiting for that to come to Android. I was sitting there, like, give me that, because like I knew how efficient I could be with it. And as Joe mentioned, it was in Gboard. It's in Gboard. Gboard works. It's great for what it is, but it's also a resource hog. It's sluggish. It's sluggish. It doesn't matter if your Android device has 4 gigs of RAM and octo-core. I think mine's got 6, but it's definitely got an octo-core SoC in it. And I've always been on the lookout for, a good open source or closed source, but I'd always prefer open source if I can get it, just because I know, when they say we're not collecting any data bits, that it can be verified by somebody smarter than me. I'm always a fan of looking for open source for that. And the problem with most of the open source keyboards is none of them know how to swipe. They don't. They're reasonably lightweight, and you can, do the tippy taps and all that. I can't operate like that because I typically use a tablet in portrait mode when I'm out and about. And like tippy tap typing doesn't work like that. So I need that glide swipe.
Yeah, that works. It works really well on tablets.
So this is going to bring me to Heliboard, customizable open source keyboard. I'm going somewhere with this. Stay with me. It's got basically everything I want. It's based on AOSP, which you might know, if you've installed alternate ROMs, like, I have a CR Droid running on my daily driver right now. 100% offline keyboard. So you don't have to worry about your data bits getting tracked. It's got spell check. It's got custom themes, layouts, and it even knows how to learn words. And it's not terribly fugly. Jill was like, hey, go to the F-Droid thing, because you know what? I went to the GitHub page and I'm like, welcome to the GitHub page about a thing with that is nothing but a GUI application and you don't have screenshots on it. Yep, I'm never not going to give people static about. So back over there. Doesn't look bad at all. It's me, so my theme is just make everything black, get rid of any of the pictures and anything to that effect. But if you do want that one missing feature, because out of the box, it does not work with glide typing. I'm like, well, why is that? Doesn't make sense. Why would you tell me about a feature that maybe you could have, but you don't include it? Because there's not an open source library for swipe or glide, apparently, even according to them. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. That's the reason it's not built into it. I thought it was like a technical, maybe it is a technical issue. So what you have to do is get a hold of swipe libs. Now you can manually extract that from GApps, but on their GitHub page, there's a direct download link to get it. You just download it, drop it in a folder, tell the keyboard like, hey, this is where this library is. Use it, boom. And it just starts working. It's crazy lightweight, and I've been using it for about a week. Daily driver. It's just so nice not to have, just a chuggy keyboard on a modern, I got a Galaxy S6, kids. It's not new. It's a couple of years old, but like it stompinates everything, which always boggles me when I hit the keyboard and it's like clunk, and it pops up. So even if I'm primarily concerned about speed, but also if you don't want the data hoovering on top of everything else, you want to get rid of Gboard or whatever. But if you got recommendations, let me know. If you know, like, hey, then how did you miss insert keyboard here?
Yeah,
that has all the the one feature I want. It's got to have good glide typing.
Okay, yeah.
Like it has to have that. If it doesn't have that, I don't care about it. But if you know one, type in the name, put in the video in the comments section. Like I'll go take a look at it. Guaranteed. Jill predictably looked at it and went, let's focus on the important bits of a keyboard, though.
Yeah. So, I had seen the HeliBoard keyboard on F-Droid and had wanted to give it a try. So thank you, Ven, for putting this in the show notes. It made me remember to do that. And it actually has a nice emoji search feature, which I require from any Android keyboard, and clipboard history, which is essential for me to do my social media posts each day for the shows. So, so those are kind of two important things for me. May not be for Ven, but they were for me. And I just checked, Ven. So Gboard has been around since 2016, so 8 years. Oh my gosh.
It's a baby compared to Android.
It is. And you know what? I think for ages, I just used the default Android keyboard because whenever I would install another keyboard, it would make the phone sluggish. And a lot of that has sometimes to do with the themes that are always, suggesting new themes for you and some of the third-party keyboards.
Well, you're onto
and it makes it
something
really
like that.
Bloated.
Because
it's annoying.
Like a lot of apps, like stick with what you're good at, right? We just got to talking about Mozilla. Mozilla, stick what you're good at, the browser. We're trying to do a billion things. How many Android apps? I always drag out. The reason I wrote my own weather application for Android all those years ago was because, like, I want a weather app that pings NOAA and gives me a weather widget that just tells me what the temperature is outside on a notifications bar on Android. Yeah. And I was like, okay, let's download the Weather Channel. And that worked for a while. For a minute, they stuck with their core thing. Like, here's the weather. You want to open the app and we'll expand. But then they started, and I went for an update for the Weather Channel Android app. Then it was something like 75 megs. I'm like, what's going on? Now we have a weather, we're pushing the social network that we're putting in. And you can talk to your friends about it. And I'm like, I just want a widget. That's want a widget. And I feel the same way about Gboard and a lot of other apps that I just want a keyboard. I want a keyboard. That's it. I don't need anything more than a keyboard with glide typing. And that is what this HeliBoard has been able to throw down. I feel like I finally found the thing. It's not perfect because, you do got to download the library and you got to plug that in. But outside of that, I'm like, yes, go check it out if you've been looking for a very snappy keyboard. And especially if you got like an older device.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's open source. Yay.
Right. So, when they say, hey, it's completely on device, we don't do any tracking, like, you can verify that yourself. And it's completely opposite to what our friends over in Redmond are up to.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely, Vin. So the tech community has been all abuzz about the latest announcement by Microsoft. Microsoft announced their Copilot Plus PC, which is a computer designed to run AI tools. The article states the first of these new Copilot Plus devices will arrive in the form of the Microsoft Surface Pro 11 and Surface Laptop 7, each making use of powerful neural processing units, NPU, housed inside Qualcomm's Snapdragon X chipsets. And that's really cool and wonderful. But it is not this announcement of the new Microsoft AI computers that has the tech community rolling their eyes, even though, yes, they are very sweet hardware devices, but it is the AI software that is running locally on these machines, which includes a feature called Windows Recall, which is explained really well in this quote from a laptopmag.com post. It's the ability to run on-device tools as often as needed that allows Windows Recall to work as it does. building a log of every action you perform through a constant stream of screenshots that can be recalled through user searches. Honestly, this is essentially spyware. And, a security and privacy nightmare that can be easily manipulated. But Microsoft says that recall won't be seen by cloud services, but will only be locally stored. And I honestly have my doubts because they're a data collection machine, an ad collecting machine, just like Google and other companies. And, Microsoft, it says it's going to be on by default and you have to opt out of it, which a lot of Windows users don't have the know-how to do. This is a nightmare. So once again, the best operating system for the Copilot Plus PC will be Linux. Thank God. Oh, Windows.
The average person doesn't care, though.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't care. They'll never look at it. Never bother them. They'll just shrug. They're like, this is bubble talk, But Microsoft, I'm not worried about this because, clearly, all of this only kicks in and starts doing all the crazy new features that are potentially dangerous. There are valid concerns here. It's not all panic at the disco, but it only does this after I've consented. After I've opted in. Right, Microsoft? Right, guys? No? Okay. Well, I guess that might be. But it doesn't really matter. Even if you do say no, how many times? I want you to think about this. How many times have you told Microsoft? How many times have you told Google? No. You don't even get an option for no these days, do you? It's like maybe later. Clearly the thing that you're trying to push into my face that you need me to do, the goal, that little pop-up is to wear you down, right? My latest example is Google search. We'd like to know your location. Yes, maybe later. How about never? I have location disabled on all my devices. Telemetry's gone, man. So even if you do have that option to cut it off, you'll probably constantly get an option of hey, Clippy's going to show up, the 2024 version of Clippy. AI, so yeah, Windows 11, welcome to the brave new world. AI, telemetry, forced online accounts, full recording, and Microsoft owning an ad business. That's an interesting mix that you got right there. That's not me hitting on Microsoft. That's just telling you what you have to deal with in current year right now. This is just more on top of it. Hand wave it away. Don't worry about it. Plain and simple. If you're tied into this, you're tied into this. This is a life you want to live. Maybe you see the benefit from it. And you're like, no, this is awesome. I don't see the repercussions from it. That's cool. You rock and roll. Now, if you're on enterprise, if you're important to Microsoft, they will give the admins an option to disable some of this. You can do that in the turn off saving snapshots for Windows, because that's going to be the big killer.
Aw, I love what my Steve husband says in chat. Clippy Skynet. That's perfect.
This is a wild time.
Yes.
This is, we look at this and it's like, well, it's a bit strange. Should you install Linux? Personally, I don't care if you install Linux or not. I don't. I'm so far beyond that phase. Linux is an operating system. It's a tool. Trust me. I look at the weird culty Linux people the same as the Windows users are doing. I'm like, it's an operating system, man. Come on. It's not an organization of people. So when I say, should you switch to Linux? My analogy is you got to think of Linux for what it is, man. You get a little toy model rocket, the kind you pump up and it goes, and it just kind of falls over a little bit. That's Windows. Linux is a big honking enterprise Saturn V rocket it shoots up into the sky. It's got a bazillion buttons and switches and on that. And if you look at that big Saturn V rocket and go, oh, nope, I'm going to stick to my little bottle rocket, then no, Linux isn't for you. If you look at that and you go, so many buttons to press, man, let's go. Maybe give Linux a try.
Yeah.
It is not. Don't listen to anybody who's like, no, just install it. You'll figure it out. You won't. Those people do more damage to Linux than anything I've ever said in the history of ever. I'm violently against Linux cheerleaders. They're like, rah, rah, everything's perfect on Linux. It's not. Everything's not perfect on Windows. Everything's not perfect on Mac OS. Don't try to pretend it's perfect on Linux either. You're not doing anybody a favor. Anything you're doing is scaring away new potential users, people. So, if you're done with that Linux life, that's cool. You want to live on Microsoft? That's cool. Wherever you need to be, you go there. But hey, man, if you need help with that, on Linux, there's plenty of documentation, plenty of places to go play. Pretty much everything works, including your gaming. There's like 4 games that don't work these days. That's about all you get. And you're going to bring up, somebody's going to bring up like the Adobe products. You don't use those Adobe products. Quit bringing that up in a conversation. If you're using that as your crutch. How about this? You don't want to run Linux. That's also a valid thing. They're like, not my thing. Cool. We can still hang out and be friends.
Yeah.
All right. But Microsoft is always, at the end of the day, going to Microsoft.
Yeah, they are. And good news, everyone. Actually, we talked about it here on LWW 2 weeks ago. In the latest Linux kernel 6.9, Linus now, because he has a more powerful ARM64 based machine to build kernels on, this will go a long way for Qualcomm upping their support of the latest Snapdragon X Elite on Linux. So it's coming. We will have Linux.
We're not going to have to worry about it too much. What was it? A couple of weeks ago, we talked about like Qualcomm already has a version of Debian.
Yeah.
That you can just install. Like Qualcomm's serious about they want market share with this thing. So it's going to run on everything, including Linux. It's going to be interesting times ahead. Even with that $899 dev kit, I'm like, no, but I still want it. I still want it. Let's quit talking about ARM. ARM's not the future. No, RISC-V is the future, according to the internet. Maybe. I don't know if you listen to the internet. They're like, possibly.
I'm hoping. We
got to dig the paradigm, people. This post comes from the Canonical blog, where they are talking about the Milky 5, the $48 perpetually out of stock piece of SBC goodness, which has always been an interesting option. And now it's got a new operating system that you can run on it from Canonical, Ubuntu 20.04.04 server. Now, this is not a complete shock. Canonical's been releasing RISC-V images since 2021. Now, server might be the sticking point for you. It definitely might be. But the reason for that is none of the GPU bits work. Not even a little bit. They're virtually non-existent. So don't go looking for a desktop release anytime soon. And a couple of important notes with this one. PCI Express support kind of works with the NVMe, but the drivers for the Wi-Fi, they sort of work, but no love for the external GPUs. I don't know why you'd expect that to work, but just save you the time from plugging that in and trying to do it. And one of the weird quirks with kernel 6.8 is USB 3 works, but the USB 2 ports, not so much. That could be a problem, but I love seeing things like this. Why? Because the Milky 5 is the type of ARM device that I enjoy. It's to the roots. It's how it started out, a low-cost, reasonably powered SoC single board computer for $48. That reminds you of something way back in the day. We used to call them Raspberry Pis. Remember those? When they were $40-$50 and you could just pick one up, even if you were struggling, you're like, I can at least give me a little development board and play with. And that's refreshing to see when like your basic options right now start at like $75-$80. That's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Good to
so
see.
Great to see RISC-V coming down in price. You remember, Ven, when I started here on LWW and we just started talking about RISC-V and they were thousands of dollars for some of these boards? This is amazing. And I think that this collaboration with Canonical and Milk-V technology will really help accelerate Linux adoption and development on RISC-V systems and really get us, one step closer to having Linux fully working and the flagship OS on this fast and powerful efficient ISA. It's awesome. Yeah, we're looking for. I am actually looking for a RISC-V future. I'm hoping. I know ARM. It seems to be all the trend right now, but
ARM works. It's not the trend.
Works.
It works.
Yeah.
If the trend is I need something that works, yes.
Yeah. Well, ARM's been around, since the 80s in the aerospace. So it's nice that we have it in the consumer level.
ARM's been around since a little tiny Acorn, man. I remember when Homeboy was working on ARM's kind of interesting. RISC-V, by the time we end up with like a RISC-V that you'd really want to use on a desktop or something like that, it's not going to be open. Like it's going to be ARMified by that time. But These are Tinker boards. These are something to play with. Learn the architecture. Go pick it up. Good on Canonical. Like I said, Canonical, you do something dumb, I'm going to give you a hard time for it. You do something good, I'm going to praise you for it. I know that's weird to do, but like I said, I'm not a cheerleader. So I need to thank some people this week.
All Linux users.
Last night, Nubbin, who's one of our beautiful patrons, is also a Twitch subscriber, and he rolled over to 4 years.
Woohoo!
As a Twitch sub. So I wanted to give him a shout out for that. And also right before the show, Dubsy
Yeah.
did a 21 month resub.
Yeah.
And if you want to come join the crew, you can do that over at Twitch. You don't get any ads, but you also get access to our Discord server, but we'd love it if you kick us $1 a week, $20 a week, $1,000 a week over at Patreon, patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. All of this information is in the support tab over at linuxgamecast.com. We got a website. How old school is that? How retro is that? And there's no ads or tracking or anything, any of the sites I do. But speaking of Patreon, if you do that, I'm going to put something out for you tomorrow. I've been working on the Elite Desk,
Yay.
a little tiny Elite Desk. I've been putting that together. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I found some things out. More importantly, I found the right person to get them from. What do you need to replace? What do you need to upgrade? How do you get Linux on it? How do you make it the best experience possible? Already sorted that. Old man Vin's taking care of that. So you're going to get early crack at that. I'm going to go ahead and upload that for our patrons. Let's take a look at it. Go over it. More importantly, like go ahead and grab one, at least from somebody, the same person I got mine from. So you don't have to worry about like, ooh, should I get one on eBay? I'll give you a good link from a real company. That'll ship it for about $120. Or if you're just curious, I did the benchmarks. Trust me, I torture tested. That poor little thing. I'm like, I'm going to make you scream. And that did. So take a look at that tomorrow. It'll be probably, sometime before tomorrow ends. How about that? I'm worse than the cable company when I get a chance to get that up. But you get live and uncut versions of this show as well in podcast format, video format. And it's just a gang of little thank yous if you can help us out at doing what we do. What else we got? LibrePay, PayPal, Bitcoin, Amazon wish list. Jordan's got one from Saturday's Linux Gamecast. Jill's got one. Pedro's got one. And I got one for the studio as a reminder. No, as a warning, I will publicly shame you back here on our Fine Upstanding Cannibals wall if you get anything for the studio. And like, that's on you, buddy. Unless you send me a note, because you can send us a note and we'll read it out. And we're like, like my studio thing's just stuff for the studio. Jill's got one. It's filled with like blinky RGB stuff. Just go creep on it. Maybe you'll feel generous. Who knows? A merch store. You see this little sticker back here? Like, ooh, we got stickers. Don't have that poster. If I ever want to make some money, I'll publicly put up that poster, because I've had so many people ask me about that poster. And I still have the Axia file where I made it. Oh, maybe one day. And of course, a humble affiliate. Now, why do we read all this stuff off? Why? Because we're not trying to sell you anything. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you like what we do, you want to help it out, small independent media, go for it. But I'm not going to give you a mattress ad, and I'm not going to collect your data. Why don't you go download the podcast for this? See where it's coming from. It's coming from my wallet, kids. I don't do any tracking. It's not hosted on Spotify or like Blueberry or whatever, whoever's data mining your stuff. It's just up on the cloud that I pay for, because we love you like that. All right. Let's get out of here, Jill Bryant. Fun show. Yeah. Time to put on the music and roll them credits.
Aww. Steve Husband said he learned a lot, especially about Windows Recall. Okay, thank you to our executive producers and our advisors, our Chicago Kicks people, our Sea Monsters, and our Death Notes. And those are all our beautiful patrons on many different levels you can choose from on Patreon to support us. And thanks again to Dubsig and Nubbin for the resub.
Have a great rest of your week, whatever operating system you may roam.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
We'll see you next
week.
week.
Or you might be dual booting.
Just stay away from Windows 11s.
Yeah.
Or not, whatever. All right. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Yay, nice tight show.
3322. Oh, hang on. Don't hit that. Hit the big red button, Vin. Oh, there we go.
Uh-oh.
No, it's good.
Okay.
You hit the big red button once, and it just, all the scripts go haywire and start activating things, and you hit it again, and it does that again. It just does the reverse, and it shuts everything down.
Oh, okay.
It works pretty good. Oh, man, I got to relink a lot of this stuff. I finally cleaned up my music library. I had a
Oh yeah, you converted everything to FLACs.
first I had to organize it,
Yeah.
which was a really interesting experience, because one thing you might not know is all the music that I play on the live streams or in any of the videos, I own a license to. Like, it is, and I don't rent it. I don't pay a subscription service to have the right. That music's mine. I can do anything I want with it. I can use it in commercial. I can use it for stream. Nobody can say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time for bots,
Yeah.
like copyright bots. Anybody tries to hit me with that, I clap right back at them and like, let's go to court. It'll make a fun video. And they disappear. But
I like all those collections you've gotten off Humble Bundle.
I've gotten stuff off Humble. I got stuff. My big library that I was trying to get through is from Ovian Sounds, which is a little more expensive than you'd ever see stuff on like Humble and stuff like that. I think they might have did a Humble Bundle way back when, but I got so much stuff from them. And it's all in waveform, and it's all in subfolders, because you get the stuff, and a lot of stuff I play is like game music. It's stuff meant not from video games, but stuff to potentially put in video games.
Yeah.
In different areas. And it's all broken down to like, you want 30 BPS, 60 BPS, and you got a main file. So I had to dig all that stuff out. I think Strider found a use for my little script. It wasn't even a little script, man. It was just a little find command to go into all of these subfolders and like rip out all the WAV files, because they're all WAV files. It was big, massive, like tens of gigabytes of audio. And then I converted all that to, it was 1001 file. And I converted all that to FLAC.
Yeah.
And then I was able to take that, pare that down, and get everything kind of organized. Anyway, the reason I brought that up is because I clicked something on the audio player, and it's like, file not found. I'm like, right, I got to go back and relink all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Make it find all the correct directories.
Just one directory now.
Yeah, that's good.
It's not buried 6 in to get to the one thing. Oh, now I get like the big chunky directory that I can control F. It's really easy to find through because it's all themed.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm looking for like chip tunes, or if I'm looking for like electronica, or if I'm looking for hip hop, or ambient, or what was one? One of them had me laughing. It was so ridiculous. What was it? We got to take a look here. I posted a screenshot in Discord of like what that folder looked like. Poor Thunar was having a nervous breakdown displaying all that stuff. And I'm like, come on, buddy, you can do it. What was this thing called? HIJK? Orc rock. I have an entire genre called orc rock.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of interesting things that I've put together. Somebody brought up a good thing. You know, how much do you really trust like AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
AI answers, or like, hey, can you do something for me? You know, automate this task. Can you punch it into, GPT or Gemini, whatever you're using? And it's like, how long is it going to be before you would trust AI to do all the tags for your MP3 library? Would you do it right now? Would you trust AI to go out, ping everything, get a description, put your 83 tags?
I'm having a sneeze attack here. I'm sorry.
Did you hear what I said?
Oh, only partially.
Partially?
Yeah.
Would you trust AI to do the MP3 tags for your music library?
No. I know it's got it's pretty good at it, but I have some stuff that's so rare. I don't think so.
I think it'll get
I
to the
always
point.
have to, when I'm backing up my collection, I have to go in and manually do that on every single track. It's a pain.
Well, once you put the ID3 tags in, you don't have to do it ever again.
Yeah. Yeah, and Picard is nice. I use Picard.
Picard is all but not perfect. What's all? What does that do? What am I doing? What is orc rock? It probably sounds just like whatever orc rock sounds like. I don't know. We can pull up an orc rock track. Let me see. Resolve the gems. How do I even get to? There we go.
In the language of the orcs from One Ring to Rule Them All.
This is orc rock. I guess, like,
okay,
whatever.
that doesn't sound like mean orcs.
No, it's orc rock chill. It's rock and roll orcs. I don't think you get a whole lot of rock and roll orcs in the Tolkien universe. All right.
Yeah, I imagined it being, the language that was, from the orcs being used in rock.
Oh, no. That's nothing about this entire music collection. No lyrics.
Oh, okay.
It's background music. You got people talking while you're trying to talk.
That's right. Yeah. Let's see, what is that?
There we go. All right. Let's check our email before we pop out here. Anything exciting? Oh, we got a resistor update. What is that one resistor I need coming? Shipping label has been created. Oh, it's being shipped from inside the state. That might be here by Friday. Dope.
Oh.
Then I can change that one resistor out, and I guarantee you it's only going to be that one why do I keep saying resistor? One capacitor. That's going to be it. That's going to be the thing that just repair. I guarantee, just simply because I took the time to order all the individual capacitors needed to recap that power supply. Guarantee you, it's that one bodge capacitor, and it's just going to work. That's how things work. I don't know, Mary. You might want to try something a little simpler than Jellyfin, like if you're running into issues getting it to play media.
There's Orc Rock Anthem over at Bandcamp.
I forget who bought Bandcamp.
Yeah, so the Orc Rock, according to Bandcamp, has the language of the orcs. I was just playing a track.
No, I mean, if you go look for orc rock with lyrics, it's probably going to have what you're searching for, isn't it?
Yeah. But I expected the instrumental to be a little more grungy for some reason.
Well, that was 1 out of 28 tracks of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bandcamp was sold to somebody. I don't remember who. Hopefully they just they stick around. I bought a lot of independent stuff. Every now and then I'll run through now I'm guilty of not doing this, so I'm guilty of not doing this. Of you hear a good track, right? You're like, that's pretty cool. But you'll hear it in a YouTube video. What is that? And you can go dig it around. And fortunately it's easy enough to ID music. But then you got to go get your mobile device and play it, and I'm all right, fine. Track it down. They'll have a Bandcamp, and I can buy their album. Whoever it is. And a lot of times, a lot of these albums are released under Creative Commons, Creative Commons non-commercial NC or something like that, or share alike, which is always good. One of the weird roundabout ways I go of discovering music. Because I just don't have the patience to sit and listen to YouTube Music or Spotify. Like that's too much of a singular commitment. YouTube's strangely good enough at throwing some videos in my face every now and then. I love a good music video. I do. Even if it's a genre of music I don't necessarily care about, if you make a really compelling music video, a fun music video, I'll end up even liking your song. I think there's a bunch of examples like that. What was the latest collaboration? It was Baby Metal and Eskimo Callboy.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's silly. It was a silly video. I appreciated it. Not a fan of either the particular bands, but I'm like, you took some time. You made something fun. I appreciate that. Now, I think we got into that conversation on Saturday because I was talking about the band Avatar, and I'm like, Avatar, their budget videos, they don't spend a lot of money, but they punch way above their weight. They take some time. It's a Swedish metal band, you know, these guys aren't rolling in it. And they always do a reasonably good job. You know, then you had like the height of the music videos, you know, in the mid to late 80s, early 90s, where music videos had $1 million budgets. Then we just got like insane things, you know, things that didn't qualify. They're more of a short film, you know. You think of like Michael Jackson's Thriller, right?
Mm-hmm. That was
where you have a
wonderful.
small film before you get into it.
Yeah. And it's mostly film, that and Moonraker, Moonraker, I think. It's been too long since I've watched those.
And I mean, you know, music videos kind of held up to like the early aughts. And then they effectively just disappeared. Why? Because, you know, MTV and whatever the Canadian equivalent and around the world, they just quit airing music videos, you know. That wasn't a thing anymore. And they've made a bit of a resurgence, you know. Like,
yeah,
bands still do music videos. It's just that they're on YouTube. And the easiest way to find them is like subscribe to labels, you know, like Napalm Records or whoever it is that you want to follow. And you know, you'll run across them every now and then, or an independent artist. I've just always been a fan of like that art form of, you know, telling a story to song, right? Like give me a beginning, middle, and end. I always think that's a good idea.
It's been really nice to see, you know, the top 10 pop stars. They've been doing that a lot more lately. Like Katy Perry and
I was about to say I could not tell you a single top 10 pop star to save my life. And I'm not trying to be a hipster. It's just not the genre of like pop music. I don't know who's in the top 10.
Taylor Swift for one.
That's one.
That's one. I have a very eclectic music listening experience, so I don't always know the top 10. Loop Dua is one. Katy Perry. There's 3.
I have no idea.
Yeah, Loop Dua. She's really good. I like her voice too.
Let's see if I know a single person from the let's all play a game collectively. How out of touch are we? Let's see. Billboard Top 1 Hot 100. All right. This is the Wii. Is it already like no? May, June 2024. Kendrick Lamar, I know that name.
Yeah, I know the name, but
Tommy Richmond, no idea. Shaboze, no idea. Billy, I've heard the name. Sabrina Carpenter, no idea. Teddy, no idea. Vincent, but no idea. Hoosier, wanna say I know the name, but I'm not 100%. Taylor Swift, all right, I know that name. More Billy.
Oh, Billie Eilish. Yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah.
Ariana Grande, I know the name. Kendrick Lamar, again, yeah, know that. Zach Bryan, nope. Noah, nope. Jack Harlow, nope. Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, nope. Sabrina Carpenter, nope. I don't think so.
Marshmallow, the new one.
Don't know that. Or Kane Brown. Sexy Red, nope. Gorilla, nope. Dasha, Tate,
Dasha.
Artemis, Yo, Doja Cat.
Doja Cat, yeah. Yeah, I know most of those names, but I don't, know their music inside and out.
I know
or anything.
Beyonce. I know that name. More Carnival. Jelly Roll, strangely, I do know, but I have no idea of I know that dude's story. Like, he didn't pop off until he was in his 40s. Kendrick Lamar, yeah. Yeah, I have not seen, here we are, we're almost at 100, and I'm not seeing somebody that I'm like, yeah, I listen to them. But
yeah, Dua Lipa is on there. She does a lot of really good kind of experimental electronic music as well. That's not necessarily her most known music, but she experiments, which is what I appreciate. And she has really interesting music videos too. That's how I came across her, actually, was on YouTube, her music videos.
Well, I mean, back in my day, the artist that would just, experiment, make a bunch of weird noises into a microphone, we called that person Bjork.
Yeah. Well, Bjork is still doing great music. She's just not necessarily in the top right now. So
that's why I said back in my day. I don't know if Bjork was ever like really mainstream by any stretch of the imagination, but there was a moment.
She had a couple hits, when she made it to the Super Bowl halftime. Yeah, she had made it. Now, of course, I know all the 80s top, Madonna and Cyndi Lauper, and, that was my young adult years.
All right. Yeah, music's like all over the place. We've never had I don't know how much of it is being choice paralysis is definitely an issue. There's just too much of it.
Now.
Have access too much of it. You rewind like 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't like you had to go looking for it. You'd have to go to a record store, hear it from a friend, maybe listen to it on the radio. Like, that was the thing. You didn't have so much to choose from. Now you can listen to anything from anytime, anywhere.
So much.
You're rarely in a position where you just cannot access the entire library of music made by mankind that's ever been recorded. So you're sitting there going, I have no idea what to listen to. You run into the same problem with video games. Like once you have, I meant to ask that during the show, or like right after the show, saying about that on Trackmania, me and Pedro were having a conversation about like, how many Steam games does the normal person have?
Under 100.
It seems to be like a regular gamer is somewhere between, high 200 and like 350. Something because, you've had a Steam account for like Windows, right? They've had an account for like a decade, they've collected them over time.
So many people I know, though, they just stick to one game for, a couple years. Not in our Linux community because we're testing games, but
even when we were talking to Ogie, somebody a lot of you don't know joins in for Tuesdays and Friday on Racing. He's like, I was like, how many Steam games you get? He's like, man, maybe 100. And like, that's awfully low. He's like, but I got like 500 on Xbox.
Yeah, his main.
Yeah. I think the number is like probably somewhere between 300 and 500 for somebody, who's like been gaming most of their life, and no matter what platform it's on, be it Steam or Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo.
Nintendo, yeah.
You got a couple of 100 games laying around and still nothing to play. No. I have to imagine, though, unlike console, it's a different story, right? Because you pretty much paid full price for every one of those games, so you're incentivized to play it. Beat it.
Yeah.
It's not like you do on Steam where you're just browsing through and you're like, that's like $6. I'll just pick it up. All right, fine. Maybe I'll play it. You don't even pick it up with the intention of ever playing. You're like, just in case. I'll just go ahead and pick that up. I do that all the time. It's terrifying. And I have no idea. I know a couple of years ago, I got over 1,000 games on Steam. But
Yeah, I still think it's probably lower. I think it's under 200 for most people on Steam. I don't
I
know.
think for the type of people who have Steam installed, it depends on what you wanted to average. Because like I think if we're doing averages, like it's going to
ways. Yeah.
The average is going to skew higher because I think the people who have a lot of games have a lot of games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not, you brought up the example of like the person who just has the one game. There's not a lot of them. That's just that one person that wants to play that one game. There's the average person who has Steam installed plays more than just one game.
Yeah, they play a handful of games. Yeah.
No. I don't know. Let's see if I remember to ask that on
I guess because I'm factoring in all the different platforms, because I know so many people that are the average consumers that are just console gamers, like Ogie, where that's his main platform.
Well, it's going to be like 500, and like if we're just sticking to like, but usually like that's the other thing. Like if you got Steam installed, typically you're a PC gamer. Like Ogie's not a good data point because he's primarily a console gamer.
Yeah.
And like when you get numbers like that, and like if you just want to like put it into like how many people who are PC gamers, how many games do they have installed? I think you're not going to run into a lot of people who are PC gamers with Steam installed that only have just a handful of games. Because of reasons like I just said, 99-cent games or free games, right? You can't help but to pick them up.
Yeah, no, this is true. I'm just thinking of like gamer families that I know and I interact with, and they're like, 20 games in their library they've had for 10 years. They're playing the same games. Yeah,
those are like outliers, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I know a lot of them.
There's
But yeah, I think on average it's probably higher.
I think it's much higher because the reason, Steam knows it's much higher. That's why they have things like Steam Family Sharing built into the client, because Steam knows it's higher. So you can share games between your, with your family and friends.
Well, yeah, so then they don't have to buy it.
So you can access that large library.
Yeah.
For the kids. So like that one person, be it the mother or the father, whatever, they got the big chunky library. You get what I'm saying? Like enough to justify like setting up their kids.
No, you don't need to convince me, Ben. I know.
I'm not. I'm talking to the audience. Jill. I'm talking to the audience, not you. So when the father and mother and they got that set up, when you got that, then you got the kids. And that's something we brought up on Saturday.
Yeah.
If you want to go back and listen to that.
Discussion.
How do you deal with that? There's no inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
No. Now, if you got 20 games, you're not worried about it. But the reason that's such a hot topic is most of us got a bunch of games. Like, that's like a point of discussion, Like, what do I do with this collection of games that I have? And I want to give them to my kids.
I talked to my Steve husband, and he doesn't care about having my Steam account, even though he does. He has got to, I make sure that he has everything, but...
It's going to go away. It's going to disappear. Like, whoever ends up like with that house after you and Steve are no more, they're, despite what we all believe, they're going to like hire a company and like put it in a truck and take it to a landfill and go blurp. All right. That's how the world works out. Mm-hmm. And like our Steam stuff, our digital stuff is just going to go blurp, disappear. That sucks. But I don't think anybody buys stuff on Steam anymore. Like the average consumer understands that we don't get to own anything, right?
Yeah.
We're just like, yeah. Because like that's the dark thing, right? Like you could wake up tomorrow and Steam could just ban you. And like there's nothing you can do. We don't ever think about that. Why? Because Steam is not an evil company, but like will Steam always be a good company? Well, you got to think about the login and password too, man. Like, how long can you have a Steam account before it becomes inactive? We don't know. I wish Steam would answer stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Because, like, the logical thing would be to like add it to Steam Family Sharing to access, a relative who's passed off. But 10 years from now, it might hit a certain amount of time before this account has not logged in X amount of years, and it just gets pruned. That happens on Discord. Kind of makes me happy when it happens on Discord, because I see on our Discord, people get mad. They're like, I can no longer access my account. And they're like, wait, what's going on? And they're like, well, this is how long have you not logged into it? And they're like, well, 5 years. And I'm like, yeah, you're just squatting on a username. Bye. I don't like people who do that with domain names too. Cards. All right, everybody. I'm going to go get to it. I want everybody to have a great rest of your week. Enjoy it. Try to get into something. And keep your eyes out for all the data bits and stuff that you need for tomorrow. I'll have that out for that elite desk with everything I know about it. Good. Jordan's going to be back on Thursday. I think he's still working on Outer Worlds, and I'll be back on Friday. Trekmania, 7:30 p.m. right here. You're welcome to join in. Get your practice in. Server's going to be up 24/7 until then. And, of course, Saturday, Linux Gamecast Weekly. An hour later, 8:30, late night, especially if you're on the further than the East Coast. But, you're staying up late anyway. It's all right. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Fun show.
Thank you, Steve Husband.